there, and thanks for joining us on Chicago Tonight Black Voices. I'm Angelito. Brandis Friedman has the evening off. On the show tonight, Urban Prep Academies fight for survival after having its charter to operate revoked. I sit down with Chance the Rapper to talk about his commitment to community. How you can spend an afternoon paddling through history on the African American Heritage Water Trail. Oscar-winning costume designer Ruth Carter on Black Panther, Spike Lee, and unexpected sources of inspiration. And Glorious Voices revive a gospel musical that reimagines a classic play. All that coming up, but our first story tonight, what the future holds for the all-boys charter school Urban Prep Academy. That's right after this.
Chicago Tonight, Black Voices, is made possible in part by Fifth Third Bank and by the support of these donors.
At Fifth Third, we believe when diverse voices are heard and empowered, communities are made stronger, lives are made better, and the future holds greater promise for all. That's why we're proud to support Chicago Tonight Black Voices. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can drive change.
The future of the all-boys charter school Urban Prep Academy appears bleak. After allegations of sexual and financial misconduct, the Chicago Board of Education voted in October to revoke Urban Prep's charter. Now, the state school board denied an appeal in April, and a CPS takeover of Urban Prep's Inglewood and Bronzeville campuses looks imminent. And despite an ongoing lawsuit, it appears CPS is intent on ending the once lauded charter school's involvement in public education in Chicago. Now, joining us to tell us where things stand now is Dennis Lacewell, the founding principal of Urban Prep's first campus in Inglewood in 2006. Now, Lacewell served 9 years in that role and since 2018 has been the chief academic officer for Urban Prep Academies. So let's get right into it. From your perspective, how do you think that it came into question where Urban Prep's very existence became an issue?
Yeah, unfortunately, it started with these allegations, and they're simple allegations, no evidence at all. In terms of the allegations against our founder and former CEO, there's been 4 investigations, 3 of which have found the evidence unsubstantiated. 2 by DCFS and an independent investigator. Only the CPS investigation has made some, stated these allegations. And then there's been no evidence, no text messages, no eyewitnesses, no, phone calls. I mean, no evidence at all besides a 30-year-old man stating that he was touched, one time by our founder, and who since refused, stopped cooperating with CPS, refused to sign anything stating this, and has, to others stated that he lied and this was an effort to extort money. So it's just unfortunate. And then the financial allegations of mismanagement.
Well, I wanted to get into that because I know that he denied the allegations, he stepped down, but there are charges of financial mismanagement. Can you kind of go into detail about what that looks like?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is, again, nothing but allegations, no evidence. For 17 years, we've had clean audits. We've raised over $10 million. We have, there's, like I said, it's been clean audits. We have, for the past 5 years, met or exceeded CPS's own financial scorecard for charter schools. We have above the required amount for reserves over the past 3 years. Unfortunately, they're using issues from almost a decade ago when the Governor Rauner, did not have a budget. The state didn't have a budget for 2 years. And CPS, the response to that was they cut budget for charter schools in the middle of the year. At Urban Prep, we did not cut programming. We did not fire teachers. What we did do some non-traditional things in terms of to close those gaps, but there was nothing done illegal. We satisfied all our loans without defaulting or penalty. And so this is the root in terms of where they say financial mismanagement. So again, there's no evidence of that, and they're trying to mislead the media to speak as is current, but these issues were back when there was no state budget, and CPS cut the budget in the middle of the year for 2 consecutive years.
So outside of those financial mismanagement charges, were there ever any complaints from CPS about the academic performance of your students, or maybe the terms of the education that you guys were providing?
No, not at all. If you look at all the metrics, we're outperforming in terms of CPS when it comes to black boys. You can look at data, and this is not what we say. You look at CPS data, ISB. If you go to ISB right now, look at the graduation rate of our schools for last school year. You'll see that we had an average of a 91% high school graduation rate versus CPS black male graduation rate of 65%. University of Chicago consortium studies to and through, they show clearly as far as our college enrollment rate, being above 75% versus CPS is for black boys under 49%. So it's very clear that our success, not based on what we say, but based on third-party metrics. You look at the 5 essentials survey that all schools do. Our schools regularly have well organized, and this is a survey put together by the University of Chicago that proves that schools who do well on this survey, that their schools are more apt to have school growth and improvement for their students. And well organized is the highest score you can receive. Our Inglewood and Bronzeville campuses for the past 3 years have well organized. So in these various metrics that are done by third parties, Urban Prep has excelled and served the community for the past 17 years. And so CPS misleading the media by sending information they're taking over. They're not taking over. They are attempting to close our schools, which is illegal based on the state moratorium that's been in place, since January 2022, or June 2022, when they stated that, there should be no school closings until 2025 when there's an elected school board.
Do you feel that Urban Prep is being unfairly targeted?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we know the history. We are a black organization that manages and operates a school for black boys. And so it's very disappointing that we're not embraced in terms of the work that we're doing with the demographic that is the most under-resourced, and the demographic that when you look at negatives, metrics and statistics unfortunately are at the top. And so particularly we talk about the violence and anti-violence in our communities. The Urban Prep should be looked at as part of the anti-violence strategy in terms of serving our communities, because we provide opportunities, experiences, exposure for our young men to see themselves outside of the community. And we also teach about serving the community. So we have many examples of alums coming back after graduating from college, serving the community.
So what would you say is the status of the lawsuit currently?
Yeah, so next week, the judge will hear our request for a temporary restraining order to not allow CPS to continue to move on this illegal action of closing Urban Prep. I mean, it's clearly the law, so the judge will hear that. The judge will make a ruling by June 13th in terms of that. And we're prepared if the judge doesn't rule in our favor for our students and our families, we're ready to go to the appellate court regarding this, because it's a clear illegal action. The state moratorium is clear. There's no school closings, phase outs, consolidations at all. And this is very clear, and we're a school. So this shouldn't be happening at all. And especially with, these just allegations and no evidence, but it says no school closings.
Yes. Well, our thanks to Dennis Lacewell. I apologize. That is all the time we have.
Thank you.
Now, Mental Health Awareness Month has come to a close, but Chance the Rapper's nonprofit, which is called Social Works, is trying to make sure Chicagoans have access to mental health care year-round in an initiative called My State of Mind. Now, the program has offered nearly 3,000 different wellness programs since its 2019 inception to ensure residents get the tailored help that the community says it needs. Now, it's just one example of how Chance the Rapper has made a commitment to community since becoming a household name. Now, I sat down with him for a wide-ranging conversation. So how are you feeling about Social Works connecting with the youth this year to really talk about mental health and mental health awareness?
Man, I'm really excited. I feel like Chicago, it's a big city with a lot of different challenges, what we did at Social Works was we created this My State of Mind project to connect people and to make a platform for all those spaces to exist and just to make that accessible, because we need it.
What would you say in thinking about resources that Social Works is providing for the community, specifically for the Black community, that you think is worth pinpointing or bringing attention to?
We, as a community, overwhelmingly suffer from post-traumatic stress from a vast variety of different circumstances, and the access to care is the most important thing. And so My State of Mind lets you filter and find certain practices or practitioners that specialize in what you might need through a series of quizzes and tests, and an easy way to guide through finding help.
What would you say personally works for you when you feel like you're in a state of maybe not feeling creative, feeling down, feeling sad, you're not able to just get yourself up and ready, albeit, at home chilling, or you're on the road and you have to be on, you have to be present. What are things that work for you?
I mean, I try a lot of different things when I'm lacking motivation, but also when I'm I've dealt with depression before, I've dealt with anxiety before, I've dealt with a lot of different things, and I think what helps in all those situations, even though it's not as simplistic as this, is being amongst other people and creating space for your friends or your family or the people around you to even see that you might need assistance or help. For example, we just did a big bike ride, just a bunch of Black folks going out on a ride together, but the way that we invite people in is we're creating safe spaces for people that might be, not feeling okay. A lot of times people are able to connect with people and have conversations around things that they might not necessarily talk to their friends about or people in a day-to-day.
How would you say that your expanding community or your commitment to community goes beyond Social Works, and thinking about the work that you've been doing with the Black Star Line Gallery of incorporating artists in a creative way to showcase their art alongside your record, the visuals? It's just a very different and creative approach to storytelling that really outwardly focuses on community.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I feel like that's been like my big thing that I've been working on in the past few years, is building my community and building collectives. A lot of my goals do deal with equity or housing, education, civics, a lot of different things that you need a group. There's just strength in numbers. And through the music creation, through everything we've been doing at Social Works recently, even through the festival in Ghana, all of these have been opportunities to get on the same page, to have discussions about things that need to be worked out, and just to strengthen overall our community.
Okay, so looking forward to the future of Social Works, but for you as well, you have your shows coming up, the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
That's really what put you on the map and kind of started this. How does that feel for you, just like a moment of reflection and also gratitude?
It's a really cool thing. I remember making acid rap and I was visiting a lot of the same places that I go to now. I feel like it wasn't that long ago, but it was 10 years ago. It was some time, you know what I mean? And I think to be able to have people still love it and hold it, near and dear to their hearts, or send me messages about what it meant to them, and for them to come out to the show. They sold out the Chicago show so fast.
I got the juice, I got the juice.
So I went to college in Beloit, Wisconsin, and I kid you not, it was like these white boys, lacrosse players. They're playing Cocoa Butter Kisses. They're like, Angel, have you heard this song? And I was like, wait, what?
It was getting all over the place.
Yeah, and it was just really starting, and that was really cool to see that moment of how you were able to bring people together in that space. And I think it'll be the same thing at the UC.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm excited for the shows.
Now, in case you couldn't tell, I will definitely be at the concert. We didn't get into detail about his first season hosting on The Voice, but he did share how happy he was to see one of the members from his team make it to the final, and he had great things to say about his friend Kelly Clarkson. Now, if you're interested in utilizing some of those mental health resources, we have more information on our website. Up next, paddling through history on the African American Heritage Water Trail. Now, what better way to celebrate summer than a day on the water? Now, next weekend, the nonprofit Open Lands is hosting guided paddling trips throughout the African American Heritage Water Trail along the Little Calumet River and the Calsac Channel on the far south side. Now, Water Trail specialist Lillian Holden says it's a great way to experience how Black history and nature intersect.
Open Lands, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary, and that's just celebrating 60 years of existing, 60 years of impact, and 60 years of engagement. I guess like the culminating portion of commemorating our 60th year anniversary is we've organized a paddling series. So starting from June 10th to June 12th. So it'll be 3 days. The African American Water Trail encompasses at least 180 years worth of history, ranging from the Underground Railroad, and then we travel to the environmental justice movement. American history glosses over the history of Black and Brown people. And so I think that the Water Trail does a great job of showcasing history that's been erased. You know, canoeing along the Little Calumet River can, for some people, be a very healing event. People feel like some serenity and portions of like healing out in nature and health and wellness while outdoors. It's really open to everyone. It's a family-friendly affair, so families are encouraged to attend, as well as those who are just eager to just get outdoors and just have a good time.
Now, the paddles are free to all, but registration is required. You'll find more information on that on our website. Now, Ruth Carter is a groundbreaking costume designer known for her long collaboration with filmmaker Spike Lee and her award-winning work on the Black Panther movies. Now, her success came with many years of work, deep research, and a hunger for new skills. Her work's been featured in a traveling exhibition and now in a new book, The Art of Ruth E Carter. She'll be in town this month for the Chicago Humanities Festival in Chicago. Tonight's Nick Blumberg recently caught up with her.
I got it.
Ruth Carter always knew she could be a first.
Because I thought there hasn't been another Black costume designer to win the Oscar. And I was aware of it for many, many years. And I kind of wondered if it might be me.
It was. In 2019, she made history as the first Black costumer to win an Academy Award. The fact that it was a movie Carter invested so much of herself in raised the emotional stakes.
When it dawned on me on Black Panther 1 that I was a front runner, then I really wanted it.
This year, Carter was awarded for the sequel, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and she made history again as the only Black woman with 2 Oscars.
Thank you to the Academy for recognizing the superhero that is a Black woman.
Carter's work is known for the heavy influence of Afrofuturism. It's a concept she embraces, but says is hardly new.
In the 80s, we called it neo-soul. In the 60s, you know, it was Black Power. As the African diaspora kind of unites, we are starting to understand ourselves a lot more.
With that understanding comes a melding of African heritage, technological wonders, and imagined futures. The Black Panther films are infused with those ideas, but Carter says it dates back to the start of her career on Spike Lee's School Days.
We had visions for representation on camera of, you know, more positive images of ourselves.
Some of those images have been fictional, like Lee's seminal Do the Right Thing. Some of those images have been historical, Ava DuVernay's Selma, and another Spike Lee film, Malcolm X.
It was really a special trip and special time in filmmaking.
Carter's films are full of vivid colors, elegant fabrics, and textures that pop off the screen. But the materials that translate to Hollywood magic can sometimes be pretty mundane.
You might have a junk drawer and you have all of these one-offs, you know, you have earrings and bits and baubles in your drawer. You go, why am I saving all this? Well, that kind of thing is very useful for me because I realize that you can create art with almost anything.
Carter says one of the common misconceptions about her job is that even on a huge Marvel movie, she's at a sewing machine constructing every costume herself.
No, I'm not behind a curtain like the Wizard of Oz, sewing away.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
These are big Hollywood movies, people. Carter commands a crew and works closely with the director and actors, but she still says it's important to pick up all the skills you can, however you can. Her advice to would-be costume designers?
Find a learning outlet, whether they go back to school or whether they volunteer at a theater costume shop, whether they get a job as a PA in a costume department. They have to be a sponge.
With awards recognition, an exhibition of her work, and a book that takes readers on a tour of her career, Carter's come a long way from someone who toiled as an intern for years after college. So how does it feel to look back at where she's been so far?
It feels very grown up. What I see is someone who really wanted to be here, who really wanted to do this type of work, and really felt in her heart that she could achieve these goals and did.
For Chicago Tonight Black Voices, I'm Nick Blumberg.
Now again, the book is called The Art of Ruth E Carter, Costuming Black History and the Afro Future, from Do the Right Thing to Black Panther. Now she'll be speaking at the Music Box Theater as a part of the Humanities Festival on June 11th. We've got more information on our website. And up next, sounds from a gospel musical with an all-star Chicago cast. When gospel music merges with an ancient Greek text, you could almost call it a Holy Communion. Now, it's a revival in more ways than one, and it brings ecstatic church music into the theater. Chicago Tonight visited a final rehearsal for the gospel at Colonus. Producer Mark Vitale has the story from Court Theater.
Spirit in all of us. It's not Christian, it's not Jewish, it's not Muslim, it's not Greek. Well, it's a little Greek because that's what it's about, but it's a spiritual event.
It's a rarely performed show called The Gospel at Colonus. Morgan Freeman was in the original cast in 1983. And that production inspired the career of at least one member of the audience.
I saw the original production in 1983 at Brooklyn Academy of Music, and as a result decided, hey, if classic texts and music can create such a spiritual event that lifts the entire community in that theater to a cathartic experience like one imagines in Greek theater, and yet it's contemporary for today, and it's all of us doing that together, that's what I wanted to do with my life. And so it feels like I've been preparing this for 30 years, even though we only got 2 more days to go before we open, so I can't wait. Oh, sunlight of no light.
It is based on Oedipus at Colonus, Sophocles' 2,500-year-old play about an aging king who seeks redemption after a life of sin. One of the cast members performed in the original world tour. The role she originally played is now being performed by her daughter. The directors have high praise for the all-Chicago cast.
Man, we have one of the most talented casts I've ever worked with. You know, as an actor, I come up here in Chicago. I come up in the community here. I've been doing theater with many of these people. And somehow we got, as Charlie calls, an embarrassment of riches. I mean, we have talent, and a big goal of ours was that everybody be showcased in some way. Even if it's just a line here or there, that everyone's voice be showcased.
Oh, listen, baby.
The actor-director was a finalist on The Voice, so he knows about voices being showcased. The directors are both sons of preachers. Following rehearsal, they give final notes to the cast in advance of opening night.
Yeah, I mean, taking Sophocles' play Oedipus at Colonus and putting it in the context of spirituality expressed through a Black Pentecostal worship and spirit, it's a combination of the two that creates this third thing.
I'm here to tell you, it's not one or the other. It's truly its own entity. It's a spiritual thing.
For Chicago Tonight, Black Voices, this is Mark Vitale.
Now, the Gospel at Colonus is at Court Theater in Hyde Park and runs through June 18th. And that's our show for tonight. For all of us here at Chicago Tonight, Black Voices, I'm Angel Ito. I'll see you next time.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm that is proud to recognize its 18 attorneys selected for the 2023 Super Lawyers List.